Dayton Moore, we all want Dayton Moore, and I don't think we're gonna get him. So I am not happy with the state of the Braves front office, which is quite an understatement. I'm sure that all of you feel the exact same way. Recently, an article was released by John Heyman saying that the Braves front office is in disarray, between John Schuerholz and John Hart. It better not be. And I don't know if that's true, and it's possible that this headline was released by a Braves insider who was recently dispatched, if you know what I mean. Essentially, I'm saying that John Coppolella could have been the one to tell John Heyman, hey, John Hart and John Schuerholz aren't getting along, and he's honestly trying to mess something up within the Braves front office. I don't know where else that would have come from. I think that's the best case scenario because the article says that it's from a Braves insider. If anyone besides John Coppolella is releasing articles about this, then we've got an even bigger problem. And more people need to be out of the Braves front office. I would love to replace everybody. I don't want Hart in there anymore. I don't want Schuerholz in there anymore. I want Schuerholz to come back every now and then and say, hey, what's going on? You know what Bobby Cox does? That's what Schuerholz should be doing. They're both in the Hall of Fame. I don't know why either of them needs to be making decisions anymore. But alas, Schuerholz still is, and he still has a heavy influence on what's going on. Back to Dayton Moore. Once all this came out, everyone immediately said, oh, Braves need a new GM. Who's the best person for it? Dayton Moore. We all know Dayton Moore is the best person for it. It's not even close Dayton Moore is the best person for it. Everyone agreed Dayton Moore should be that person. Why wouldn't Dayton Moore want that? If he wants to be the Braves GM, he can be the Braves GM. Why wouldn't he want to do that? You know, you've got the best farm system in baseball. You've got more money than you could deal with in Kansas City. You don't have a bunch of guys heading towards free agency. You've got a new stadium. It's all in the open. Everything would be better in Atlanta than in Kansas City. Except what you have to deal with in the front office. The only bad thing about the Braves organization is the front office. The only thing that could deter someone from coming to the Braves is the front office. And if Dayton Moore isn't coming over, that's what's keeping him from doing it. He doesn't need to be loyal, and I know that was released in an article saying, oh, he wants to be loyal. Come on. It's absurd. Why would you not? He worked here for 12 years. I know that he grew up a Kansas City fan. Why would he sit here and lie in his own mess of an organization that it is right now? It's not good. Why would he not come here unless he just doesn't want to work here? Now I, like everyone else, when I go to a job, what I look at, when I look at taking a new job, the main thing I want to see is my boss a douchebag? Are people going to try and control me? Are people going to try and ask me to do stuff that I don't want to do? No different for Dayton Moore. And what he could be seeing is that it sucks here. Now again, I'm saying that, and I hope I'm wrong. I desperately hope that I'm wrong about this. I think that the Dayton Moore trend has already come and gone. It's been 3 days since Coppolella was dispatched, and it's just my opinion. Why would the Dayton Moore conversation, if we wanted Dayton Moore and Dayton Moore wanted us, why would that interview take more than 15 minutes? All of that Dayton Moore knows everything about the Braves organization. He knows the farm. He knows how everything is going. All he has to do in that conversation is say, hey, I love what you have here. And the Braves say, well, we love what you've done. We know you. We're familiar with you. We know what kind of person you are. The only thing that needs to get settled is how much power is Dayton Moore's. And it sounds like Dayton Moore didn't like the answer. Now, again, if Coppolella is sending ideas of articles to John Heyman, and if Schuerholz and Hart are fighting about what's going to go on with the organization and who to hire and everything, I'm irate, and I should be irate, because what's going on with the Braves organization right now, it's House of Cards. No one is actually interested in what makes the Braves organization the best going forward. Everyone is strictly interested in helping themselves. Coppolella wouldn't have released the article if it wasn't to help himself. Schuerholz wouldn't want to have his son be the heir unless it was to help himself. And Hart wouldn't have kept from hiring Dayton Moore if it wasn't to help himself. John Hart doesn't need to be here anymore. Dayton Moore should be here. And if we just gave him the keys to everything, he would be here. But Hart, Sherholtz, Coppolella, and whoever else is under them is only interested in helping themselves right now. That's what's going on in the Braves front office, and it's disgusting. Now, I'm not going to leave you with just that. I'm going to leave you with the other side of this, with the other end of the picture, which is don't let this completely bleaken your view of the Braves. What this means is that their front office is gross. What it means is that it's filled with people acting selfish. I don't want to say selfish people, but it's filled with people acting selfishly. Because that's what you do when you walk into a toxic environment where in which everyone has enemies and people are backstabbing each other like this. Everyone acts selfish in situations like that. The good news is that the Braves front office is just that. They're the front office. That's all they are. That's not connected to the personnel on the field. So what that means is that even though this all could be a mess, that doesn't affect if Freddie Freeman stays healthy next year. It doesn't affect if Ender Inciarte is going to get 200 hits again. It doesn't affect if Julio Teheran is going to get it together at SunTrust Park. It doesn't affect whether Mike Foltynewicz goes a whole season pitching well. It doesn't affect Luis Gohara or Sean Newcomb or Ozzie Albies or any of these guys. They can turn it around, and what's going on in the front office doesn't have to mean anything to them. If they come out and all show improvement next year, it doesn't matter what's going on in the front office. If you remember, if you're a football fan, the Redskins general manager was admitted to rehab for alcoholism the night that free agency started. And we all said the Redskins are in disarray. We don't know who is in charge right now. Very similar to what the Braves are going through. Well, you know, they lost their top two receivers pretty early, but look at the Redskins right now. They're one of the best teams in the NFC. These things, what is going on in the front office does not matter to the team that is on the field. That's what is the good news, and this doesn't set the Braves back in terms of the development of their prospects. That's what we're tied to right now. So hopefully, all we have to hope for is that the Braves prospects and the young players continue to develop and they continue to get better. If that happens, this doesn't have to throw us off. Now, I would like to have an honorable person running things in our front office, and I would love for people to stop backstabbing each other in the front office, and we can have a franchise that we can be proud of. Right now, we don't have that, though, and I'll be watching this bleakly because I don't see it getting great right now. But that's all I really have to say is that I think that if Dayton Moore wanted this job, he would have pulled a Steve Sarkisian and left Nick Saban in the middle of the night. He would have had his bags packed, and he would have called someone and said, send my stuff to Atlanta. If Dayton Moore wanted to be here, I think he'd already be here. So I'm interested to see who else comes out. I've heard of Dan Jennings. I've heard of Theo Epstein's assistant. I'm interested in some guys who have had the GM role before, like Alex Anthopoulos, or the guy who was the Dodgers GM before Friedman took over, Ben Sherrington. I would love to see some of these guys interviewed because I think that they were good GMs. I think they just got replaced by some all-time great GMs. So, I don't know. Keep your ear to the grindstone. I know you will. And hopefully things will slowly get turned around. So, once again, I'm Chevy Pelk. It's the Braves TomaBlog YouTube channel about the Braves and baseball in general. Really hope you enjoyed watching. And go Braves.